Today's episode is brought to you by the folks over at SeatGeek, the best and easiest to use ticket platform out there. They take the confusion out of buying tickets using a 0 to 10 scoring system and a green is good, red is bad color rating system so you and your loved ones get the best deal possible. So whether it's going to see our beloved Redlegs at Great American Ballpark, the Bengals over at Paycor, FC Cincinnati, one of the area college teams, or pretty much anything in between, use promo code Riverfront at checkout and receive $20 off your first order. Click the link in the show notes to download the app and get started. That's Riverfront, one word, for $20 off. And welcome everyone to the Riverfront Red Show. This is episode number 508 of the world's most dangerous podcast, where we discuss the Cincinnati Reds and, on occasion, Jeff Shaw. I'm your host, Nate Dotson, and with me this week is a host of Sophisticates. Batting lead off, Joe Farfsing, host of the Bengals show, also here on the Riverfront Network. Joe, how you doing, buddy?
Did you call us sophisticated?
You know, I lie on occasion.
That's the first time I've ever been accused of that, so I'll take it. I'm happy. I'm doing awesome, man. I'm ready for actual off season to start. Congrats to the Rangers, but I don't really care about the Rangers or the Diamondbacks. So let's get red stuff going on here.
I love it. Also joining us this evening is your friend of mine, Tim Daniel, host of Late Night Reds on you guessed it, the Riverfront Podcast Network. This is crazy.
This is wild.
What a day. Tim, how's it going, buddy?
I'm wonderful. Next Monday, college basketball season begins, and I will not see my family till March.
Go Hoos.
They're going to be very upset with me. So it's great. It's great.
Am I allowed to say go Hoos when we literally have content creators for the Bearcats, Xavier, Northern Kentucky, and Miami of Ohio?
Yeah, it's your network. You do what you want.
I mean, you can be the Riverfront Virginia correspondent, so you just got to cover the games.
If we get enough fans in the Cincinnati area, we'll see what we can come up with.
It was cool. I got that credential today. It said the Riverfront.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I wanted to text my mom and be like, look what your little boy's doing. She's like, son, you're almost 40. Get a life. I am super, super pumped about this episode. We are doing what is going to be an annual free agency draft. As we all know, the World Series just ended, and we're going to pretty much lay out our strategies for how we want this free agency period to go for our beloved Redlegs. But before we go any further, if you're listening now, watching now, please head on over to YouTube or your favorite podcast app and give us one of those subscribes, likes, or follows. You know we don't like asking, but the podcast police will come put us in jail if you don't.
Whoop, whoop. That's the sound of the police.
All right, I'm going to need to record that and play that on every episode.
Please do.
Send that to me, and I'll make sure that goes on a YouTube short.
I love it. So we should all be trying to avoid jail, but if you're looking for somewhere you do not want to avoid, that's our Patreon family. Heck of a community. This show would not be possible without the support of those guys. So if you want to go a little deeper, help keep this ship afloat, and maybe get a couple rewards in the process, maybe some exciting things coming. I don't know. We'll see. Why not join us? Just head on over to patreon.com/riverfrontcincy or click the link in the show notes. Gentlemen, World Series. Quick thoughts. Start with you, Joe.
Glad it's over. It really wasn't that interesting. I kind of feel bad for Alek Thomas. I mean, it was game 5 and not game 7, but him just totally whiffing on the roller to the outfield, let 2 runs in, next batter hits an absolute bomb. 1-run game becomes 5-0. So it's congrats to the Rangers. I wouldn't have picked them at the beginning of the year. I wouldn't have picked them in midseason, but hey, last one standing. So
yeah, for anybody that doesn't know, the Rangers did win the World Series over the Arizona Diamondbacks 4-1. I don't mind that Alek Thomas play because I had my fair share of hilarious mishaps in my high school athletic career. So knowing that guys on this level also do it makes me feel a little bit better about myself, though I was paid slightly less. NIL was not a thing back then, nor would it have mattered for me. Tim, what were your thoughts on this Rangers versus Diamondbacks matchup?
I thought back to 2010. If you had said Aroldis Chapman would be a 2-time World Series champion, what would you have thought the teams would be? Certainly would not be the Cubs and the Rangers.
Yeah, that's a good point. The fact that neither of those is the Yankees either is a fact that I love. It's the tale of all sides of the coin, right? The Diamondbacks put together, kind of built from within, made some moves at the deadline, snuck on in, as we're such fans of saying, and made it all the way to the World Series. Got outclassed by a team. Joe, you said you wouldn't have predicted the Rangers to be in the World Series midway through the year. I might have. They would have been on my short list. They were slugging all year long. They got a little bit cold just after the deadline, but they picked it back up and were kind of there the whole time. I certainly wouldn't have predicted it before the season began, but they are what I think a lot of us, at least a lot of our listeners and viewers, they built from within. They went and made free agency moves, spent a lot of money, spent a lot more than we can ever expect the rest to spend. And then made moves at the deadline. They tried to win a World Series in every aspect of team building. And if you are a fan of a franchise and you don't at least want that for your team, I know it's not realistic to expect every team to do that. But if you don't wish you lived in a world where that was your reality, I don't know what to tell you. So you got to root for a team that tries everything they can do to win it all and then goes out and does it. Any other thoughts on the World Series before we move on?
Nope.
All right, so the big news as far as we're concerned here at the Riverfront is once the World Series ends, free agency begins. As I understand it, there is a little 5-day window where teams can re-sign their own players, but you can't sign with a new team until this 5-day period is over. I know the Braves already signed one of their guys. I think a couple other teams may have also. So the question I'll have first for you, Tim, is when are we going to get some Joseph Daniel Votto news?
I assume in the next couple days. If the 5-day rule, and it feels like there's a decision already made, and that kind of makes things a little bit more fascinating. But I kind of figure we'll probably hear about it by Monday, and whatever side it goes.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. I have a feeling that, like you said, the decision's already been made. Perhaps some phone calls have already been made, and we're going to hear something soon. Don't know what that is. Can only speculate. I am prepared for the worst.
Yep.
While hoping for the best. Now, we have a lot of people that listen to this show. We have a lot of people in our Patreon community, and we have one person that is a guest host on this show today that has a different opinion than I do about the future for Joey in this franchise. But our opinions don't matter. Bob Castellini's does, and Nick Kral's does. We're going to see, and we're not going to stop rooting for this team no matter what happens, but we'll see. Joe, when do you think the first big name is going to fall? I know like an NBA trade deadline, as soon as the clock strikes midnight, you're starting to hear things like the dominoes are falling immediately.
3 a.m. like the other night.
Yeah, 100%.
Oh yeah.
It seems like things sort of trickle up until the winter meetings. But when do you expect the first name? Or do you have a prediction for who it is? I don't know.
I'm expecting on November 7th that Shohei Ohtani to the Reds will be announced.
You heard it here. I don't know, like 30th, but you heard it
here. Real quick to touch back on the Votto thing. I think the longer it takes for any news to come out, it bodes well for him staying around with the team. If they were just going to decline and he's going to go on his own, we'd hear about that fast. Obviously, everybody has made their decision as to what's going to happen. So I think the longer it is, the more chance there is that they're going to work out some sort of, it's not like it's going to be on the 6th and then all of a sudden, yeah, they declined his option. He's a free agency, he's a free agent and go from there. So, but yeah, back to, when the first big name's going to fall, it'll be a little while. You might get somebody like Josh Bell or something signed somewhat early, someone, just trying to get out ahead, but the big names are going to wait until there's all the big meetups and Boris and his ilk can get together and bid everyone against each other.
Yeah, I suspect that you are correct. I can't wait to find out. This is the most excited I have been about a free agency period in a long, long time. It's a weird position when the Reds we're not just wish casting that they will do something relevant just so the Reds capture the media's attention for a couple hours. We, as a fan base, and I think this goes for every vintage of Reds fan, are hoping and expecting them to make some moves. Trades, sure. I think half the fan base is all about trading people to try to win now. The other half wants to hold on to prospects. Whatever. Not here to litigate that, Carrick. What I am here to talk about is we all want to see free agents signed. We all do. And let's see what happens. Let's get in some news of the week real quick. This one I thought pretty interesting, and you two are local to the Cincinnati area, so I want to get your take on it. Dave Parker getting his own street. I was a little surprised when I saw this. I obviously know he played for the Reds, had some really good years for the Reds. Those weren't particularly good Reds teams. So I had to dive a little bit deeper into why he got this street named after him. And it turns out he, from the area and pillar of the community. Joe, do you have any insight, any thoughts on the Reds naming a street after Reds Hall of Famer Dave Parker?
I think it's awesome. It's someone who's done a lot for the community. And yeah, he only played a handful of years for the Reds on the downside of his career. But, he's borderline, probably should be a Hall of Famer. If you compare him with his peers, the guy was one of the most terrifying hitters, someone that was that big. And when he had the broken face, when he had the hockey mask, could you imagine standing in the pitcher's mound facing that guy? And guys threw like 84 miles an hour. Could you imagine only having that in the changeup, throwing the ball to somebody 6'5", 240 pounds, looks like he could squash you under his boot, and throwing garbage at him? Like, here, don't hit it back up the box because I will die.
Yeah, absolutely. Tim, you're local too, buddy. How did you feel about the Dave Parker news?
I'm with Joe. I think it's great. I met Dave Parker once, and he was super, super nice. Unfortunately, with his Parkinson's, he did sign a ball for me, but it just is not legible. It sucks, but I still have it here behind me in one of these stacks. Was just so cool and so awesome. And, still has out of that swagger. Still had the gold chains when I met him. I dug it. I'm a big fan. So I think it's great anytime the Reds will honor somebody and honor their community and honor people who've done so much for it. So, yeah, I have no issues whatsoever with Dave Parker getting some love.
He did own 100%. He did own a chili parlor, Empress Chili in Milford, where I lived. So it was, so that was pretty cool. We never ate there because we were Gold Star people, but still.
He's also responsible for one of my favorite pictures of all time. And unfortunately, it was while he played for the Pirates. But him, that black and white photo, wearing that shirt that just says, "If you hear any noise, it's just me and the boys bopping." I love it. Wish I had it queued up. Highly encourage anyone to go check that out. We actually had that on the Riverfront shop for a little while. I might need to bring that back. That was a good one. All right, some more news. Spencer Steer got named as a finalist for the utility slot in the Silver Slugger race. Really awesome to see him get that nod. I think he's certainly deserving of it. Unfortunately, the two players he is co-finalists with are pretty good. I don't know if you've heard of them, but Mookie Betts and Cody Bellinger. Tim, just those little guys?
Yeah.
Don't worry about those little guys.
Oh.
Yeah. Watching Mookie Betts play shortstop and second base and center field and all.
On a whim, they're like, "Hey, we just need you to do this today." And he's like, "Sure." And be awesome at it.
Yeah.
Thankfully, he's played for some high-profile teams, unlike Mike Trout. But I think he's one of those players that we're going to look back on after his career's done and just kind of be blown away. Maybe we're not appreciating him enough, even though we're certainly appreciating him.
Yeah,
he's so
I agree.
Good.
Yeah, for sure, man. I think Red Sox fans will forever just feel pain from that trade. And I'll tell you, I don't feel sad about it. But yeah, it's going to be very unlikely Spencer Steer gets that over those two, obviously. But it's great he's there. That's alone was an accomplishment for being your first full season in the bigs to be named amongst those two guys. That's unbelievable. But Steer's the man. I think he's gonna, he's probably your 3-hole hitter of the future, depending what happens with Ellie and Matt McLean. So I'm very excited for the future of it. And if this is the beginning, what's gonna happen when it comes like year 5, year 6 for him?
Yeah, I am so excited about his role in this team going forward. And I've seen a lot of people sort of predict that he is what we saw last year is kind of what we're going to get. And I don't agree with that. I think it's going to keep getting better and keep getting more,
I
more
do too.
valuable. We do need to pause this broadcast for some breaking news for our YouTube viewers only. Joe just uploaded the Dave Parker picture, and it is just legendary.
The hat is just
Yeah, it's the
perfect.
hat that makes it. Absolutely the hat.
The hat that he's wearing, the hat on the uniform in the background, nothing has any business going this hard. Dave Parker, legend. I'm just going to go change my local street name to Dave Parker Way tomorrow. He deserves it.
It's like he's wearing a sun hat that you see some, some old lady wear when she's out in the garden, and yet he makes it look like a bad what.
Yeah. He probably wore it to the Kentucky Derby.
Absolutely. So congrats, Dave Parker. Well deserved. Up next, Tony Santillan. We thought we were maybe saying goodbye to young Tony. Turns out not yet. Tony has agreed to a minor league contract with a major league invite to spring training. Reds need help with the bullpen. I'm not mad about it. I'm not, gonna pour myself a glass of champagne, but it's good stuff. Joe, any thoughts on Tony Santillan?
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
fair.
Moving on.
No. If he spends the entire year with the Louisville Bats, awesome. That means he did well enough to not get cut and is still getting paid money to play a kids game. But I don't want him pitching in the Reds bullpen. He's been up several times, and A, can't stay healthy, and B, can't stay over the strike zone.
Yeah, I'm of the opinion that bullpens are so hit or miss, so volatile that you never know. You want to take all the flyers on guys like that you can have the stuff, but haven't been able to put it together. You might get one of those magical years. So whatever, not a bad piece of business. Well, something a little bit cooler. Tim, I want to go to you for this one. Friend of the show, not even a friend of this show, friend of Late Night Reds, hosted by Tim Daniel. He's below me. Paul Janisch, the new Chicago White Sox director of player development. We love seeing Reds succeed somewhere because they often do not do it in Cincinnati. Usually it's on the diamond. This one is behind the scenes. Tim, thoughts on Paul?
I shared with you guys before here, but I did shoot him a text and say congratulations. And he seems like he's really excited. I know Carlos is actually really, really good friends. Him and his wife are really good friends with Paul's family from their time coming up in the system together. So I'm sure he's thrilled to see his buddy get this opportunity. But
for those that don't know, Tim's talking about Carlos Mencia, comedian.
Yes.
I forgot about that guy.
That's the guy who stole everyone's jokes, Carlos Mencia. Yeah. But I think it's awesome. The White Sox certainly need player development, like as they just lost 100 games this past season. But Paul was really well respected for what he did at Rice, amongst the community. We're supposed to have him on the show at some point, but now it's probably gonna be a little easier since he's not doing college recruiting trips. But he did a great job at Rice, so I'm excited to see what he does with the big leagues.
Yeah, super cool. Congratulations, Paul. Hope you crush it, man. Hope you crush it up until the Reds play the White Sox in the World Series. And then I hope that all of your players fail miserably. What you got, Joe?
What he can do is he can try to convince the people that Edwin Arroyo is better than Luis Robert or Eloy Jimenez. And then when they become something like, hey, I went after these guys.
You can't trade for Eloy Jimenez. He was on the IL one time for the 15-day. He's injury prone.
Right.
I love this. Joe's planting a seed that Paul Janisch is an industry
double agent,
a mole from behind the scenes, getting the Reds to the playoffs, or they may or may not win a series. Last piece of business, we are saying goodbye to some players, and they are Harrison Bader. Nobody cares. Buck Farmer. People care. I'm not one of those people, but I don't have anything bad to say about Buck. Buck was as good as I could have possibly wanted him to be, which wasn't super, but it was fine. And I think that he's going to go catch on somewhere. And I hope he has a lot of success and a long career. Any thoughts on either of those two?
I like Buck Farmer when he's not in the role he had to pitch for this Reds bullpen. I think if you put him in a less, what's sort of looking for, less high leverage.
Lower leverage, yeah.
Yeah, lower leverage. Thank you, Joe. Words are hard.
You and Nick Crawl both.
Yeah, no shit. I think on a lower leverage situation, I think he's a really, really good major league pitcher. But the situations him and Jabot and we're in this year, it's not. They're not those guys. They're not the guys for that. So.
That's a really good point. Like mine and a lot of other people's opinions of the Buck Farmers and Ian Jabots of the world are because Ian Jabot, who led the world in appearances, Buck Farmer, who's pitching all of these 8th, 9th inning setup man and closing roles, and they're just not suited for them.
Yeah.
Which is what we saw time and time again. That's why we got so frustrated with a lot of the moves that happened during the season, the Luis Cessa experiment. Players that are...
I always forget that was a thing.
It broke my heart. Players that are perfectly cromulent, that could actually help a ball club, being asked to do things they're incapable of doing. So I hope we see a whole lot less of that on a year where the Reds are expected to contend and probably going to be picked by a lot to win the Central. So
yeah,
stay tuned. It all comes down to what happens in free agency.
Woo!
And to litigate that, what a transition, man. I'm hitting my stride as a podcast. That was pretty good.
You are.
You're a professional.
I
Yeah.
think it gets better when I don't acknowledge.
I don't know if the mortgage
world
world is for you anymore, Nate. I think this should be your call. This is your calling.
Hey, if you want to buy or sell a house in the Southern Virginia area, give me a call. So we are going to do our first and hopefully annual free agency draft. This is going to be a particularly fun one because the Reds have almost no money on the books, which gives us a free agency budget to play with. I hope I don't have to say free agency that many more times because that's not working for me.
Say that 5 times fast.
So the way we're going to do this is very few parameters. The three of us can choose any strategy we want to employ. It is going to be a snake draft. We are going to have 100 million fake dollars, Castellini bucks, to spend today. And the reason I chose that number is because with the Reds' current commitments, that would put them pretty close, give or take, to what they spent in 2021. So it's not as much as I don't think any of us expect them to spend, but it is not an unreasonable amount. And it would put them right in that sort of league average range that we would love to live in. We're going to do 5 rounds. It is going to be a snake draft, like I said, and we are going to assume for this exercise that Joey Votto's option is not picked up by the team. I personally, just to give you a little tip of my strategy completely, I'm going to leave Joey out of this. Same. Because my dream would be for the Reds to set their budget, fill it with free agents, and then Bob Castellini make a phone call that says, hey, can you add 10 or 15 million to that solely to sign Joey Votto back? So I'm going to pretend that I live in a world where that is happening. Otherwise,
if they're adding 15 million, then they were really screwed up because 15 million is going to be more than what the option was when you figure out the buyout. No, I'm not putting it past them. This is a team that went out.
So you ruled it out
after they got rid of everybody in 2022. They decided they found $10 million to sign a Mike Minor. So they're not smart with dollars and cents. So I wouldn't put that past them.
I want them to spend money with their heads and re-sign Joey with their hearts. So we did a little predetermined, little random organizer thing. And
it was predetermined. Yeah, it was predetermined.
Not predetermined, random, totally random. And darn it, I'm going first. I promise. Random organizer.
Just so we're clear,
selected me first.
I gave Nate this website many moons ago. So I can't understand it random, but I also Joe and I did not witness this random.
We're doing it again.
No, I'm gonna let me randomly pick. Oh, and I get the first pick.
Yeah. He didn't click it 5 times. He just clicked it once.
We're doing it again.
You can put the share screen so we can all see what's going on, right?
I don't know how to do that. Can I do that?
Yeah, you go to present and then share screen, and then it asks what tab you want to show.
Share screen.
Make sure you have the ones on the incognito tabs out of the way.
Just know when you see Japanese, it's for the free agents and nothing else. All right, I did a new one, and Joe wins.
Wait, my name is Time?
I did. All right, I'll do it again. Y'all are all the worst.
Oh, jeez.
Randomize.
Not enough time.
All right, there you go. Screen share. Nate, Tim, and Joe. After all that, I get to go first again. All because Tim got mad that I misspelled his name.
You spelled
We're
time
having-
correctly though, so there's that.
Yeah, there's that.
Yeah,
It's time change week, so
Time for
you
you
know,
to shut your dirty mouth.
Tim change week.
team change week.
All right. So, I guess let's talk strategy a little bit here. Do we want to go realistic or just are we dreaming? Because obviously, with the first pick, I would love to pick Shohei Ohtani. However, I don't find that to be a realistic play. I don't think there's an amount of money the Reds can give Shohei that gets him here. So,
I mean, if we're giving the Reds $100 million to play with, then we're absolutely living in fantasy world. So
Right, yeah.
this is build the best team you can with a checkbook.
Right.
this is true.
Around all the young prospects they already have.
Yeah.
Well, I can't say prospects anymore. Young core.
Prospect hugger.
All right. Known prospect hugger, Tim Daniel.
Mhm.
So for my first pick, I have to do it. I was going to try to just be realistic, but I have to go Shohei Ohtani.
Okay.
That is the only way. And we are going to do this, by the way, with only average annual value, no years.
Okay.
Because that gets too complicated, and I'm not smart enough to retain all that information. So for my first pick in the 2024 free agency draft, the Reds are assigning Shohei Ohtani to a deal worth $50 million annually. I think that is both somewhat realistic as far as the value, though unrealistic for the likelihood. But I have to do it.
Yeah, and also remember, Shohei's not pitching next season, so he won't be pitching until the 25 season.
He's not going to help us there. He's probably going to just DH a lot. But in my
That's fine.
fantasy world, we have Shohei in the outfield
Okay, I like it.
doing work.
Yeah.
All right. Tim, you're up next after the third round of random organizing. Y'all didn't believe me first.
I am going to go. I think this is part realistic and also me being super nostalgic. I do want to take Teoscar Hernandez, but I know Joe's got it circled, so I'm going to go ahead and leave that for him because I'm a good friend. And I'm going to go with Sonny Gray for the AAV that he has right now, which according to Spot Track is at 20,310,000. So this team needs a front end starter to go with these young guys. Someone that they can count on to throw innings and be there and can take the ball every chance without having injury. Obviously, this is a guy who's been successful at GABP in the past. He's a former All-Star in his time with the Reds and was really, really good those 2 years with the Twins. So I don't know if the Twins are going to try to keep him. I heard St. Louis is also trying to make a move for him. But in this circumstance, Sonny Gray comes back to Cincinnati and we play P. Diddy's I'm Coming Home.
I love it. I love it. All right. So you said at how much, by the way, did you sign him for?
17 mil.
17 mil. Do you think that that's going to be enough to get Sonny?
I mean, you got to think he's 34.
Yeah.
Right now, Spotcheck has him listed as an SP3. I don't think that's the case, especially on the Reds. I still think he is a front end starter, but it might have to be like a 20 mil thing. But in this exercise, I'm saving money to get bigger, to get some more guys in there. So.
All right. Sonny taking a discount to play with the Reds. I love it.
Yeah.
Joe?
That's who I was initially kind of circling around. Again, I think that's a very reasonable pick. That's a very reasonable, for what you have him for 17, 8, maybe even closer to 20. But I'm going off the board here. I am going with Yoshinobu Yamamoto.
I thought about it.
Dirty dog. This is who I was actually going to take if I didn't feel like I had to take Shohei.
He's got the ceiling of a number one, of a legitimate ace, not just a number one. I mean, of a legitimate top 5, top 10. He actually is pitching tonight. Well, yesterday by the time this hits everyone's feeds, but game 6 of Japan series, he got lit up, had his worst start ever in game 1. But I think he's going to be fantastic. What I've seen, somewhere 5 years, 90 million. So similar contract to to Sonny. I don't know how to figure out posting fee for
No,
how
we
okay,
do
we're
that.
not counting posting fee. Okay.
Yeah, no,
So
but
I will say 20 million just for a round number because I think the Reds would have to go above and beyond, but he is my number one Yoshinobu
Joe won the
Yamamoto.
draft. All right.
I love that pick.
I'm
We'll
enamored with
see
that
if
dude.
that is enough. This guy was one of the Japanese, the Cy Young in the Japanese league. He is the truth, I think. So we'll see. The Reds do have a history of signing Japanese players. Hasn't worked out super well for them, but I do think they should have given Shogo another chance. But that's a conversation for another day. Great pick, Joe. And because it was such a great pick, you get to go again.
Wow, that is my lucky day. Reds have a history of signing Japanese player. They have signed one. The Reds have had one Japanese player play for them in their history, which is
They
Chan-Ho
traded
Park.
for Shinsu.
Not Chan-Ho Park.
Shinsu was Korean.
Bruce Chen. Bruce Chen was Korean
Well,
also.
No, Bruce Chen was Panamanian.
Oh, that's right. Oof.
Yeah, which makes no sense. Like again, you try not to like assume people's
Right.
Well, today I learned
backgrounds.
we need to pay a producer to edit that out.
Yeah.
I mean, moving on.
Yu Darvish is Japanese Iranian, so that's you never know.
Yeah.
Second pick. I want to say Belly, but part of me isn't convinced that last year wasn't. I wouldn't say the last hurrah, but that's his ceiling. So I'm gonna go. Thank you for saving him for me, Teoscar Hernandez.
Sure.
He made 14 last year. That's probably about. I mean, he's 31. He's gonna so what 14, 15? Is that probably reasonable? I'll say 15.
15
I like it.
mil. I think that's pretty reasonable. I think that answers fills a super huge need for the Reds. And I honestly just like that pick. Joe, I hate to say this, but I like your draft so far.
I do too.
Thank you.
All right. Tim, you are up.
I'm going to go with the other big name free agent outfielder who just played in the World Series and was an all-star this year. I'm going to go with Lourdes Gurriel Jr. We all know how good the Reds look as far as left-handed outfield hitters for the future. Whatever you want to call the future of TJ Friedl, whether that's 2 more years. I still think he can be a serviceable player for another couple of years in the big leagues. But I think Gurriel is a excellent fit for what the Reds need, a guy who can play multiple outfield positions and is a right-hand bat. Spotrac has him at 14.6, so I will sign him for $15 million.
15 million, fantastic value. All right, I like that pick too. I feel like, man, Shohei better be good. I just spent half my budget. I want to be out of this thing before we even get going.
I don't even know how much I spent, so don't worry about it.
I'll let you know before your next one.
Okay.
All right. So Teoscar's gone. I don't.
How much did you go with Sonny?
For 17? Sonny, he went 17 million.
So we
you're
got
at
32.
32.
All right. I got money.
Here's a problem that we are looking at is that I would like to go for another outfielder, but the options, the pickings are slim. So I'm going to go back to the start and pitching well. I'm going top heavy with my wishes. Okay. I'm going Aaron Nola, who is a bad mamma jamma. And I'm going to spend heavy. I'm going to spend heavy for him because we have to convince this guy to leave a red and white team and come to another red and white team. And I'm going to give him $25 million a year. I don't know what he's going to get, but I think he's going to command something. I don't know. Any thoughts on that, gentlemen?
No issues.
He's probably the surest bet of the top of the rotation guys. So,
I mean, the Reds are going to have to overpay to get him. I see him staying where he is. Him staying in Philly. He's there are some other guys that I think that I could have gotten for a bit cheaper, but I mean, I think about the rotation next year with him as a piece of it, and then the following year with Shohei back in action. And buddy, you gotta like my Reds team. Now, we'll see how this all plays out. So let's see what else we've got here. I am a little bit worried about how this is going to play out from here on. So I'm going to get into the reliever game. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to steal a high leverage arm from a competitor. I got to figure out how much I'm going to steal him for. I'm going to take Jordan Hicks. Oh, what was that, Tim?
Huh?
That was me. That was me saying, darn shucks. Yes.
I love doing anything that makes the Cardinals worse. This guy throws the ball. I think he was once clocked at 217 miles per hour.
He's not on the Cardinals anymore.
The Blue Jays.
Blue Jays, sorry. Shows you how fun the season was after the trade deadline. And I am going to give him, what did he make last year? I can't find it, so I'm going to give him, you think $8 million a year gets it done?
Sure.
Yeah, we'll go with it.
That's what I'm paying. $8
million. He was only making 1.8.
Okay, $5 million it is.
But he was also last year of ARB, so he'll get a pretty healthy raise.
Yeah, let's stick with 8. I can't cheat. Man, my pool is dwindling. All right, Tim, you're up.
Go with. Hold on. For some reason, the Hyundai ad is playing in my ear as I look at Spot Track.
You can draft a Hyundai if you want to.
Well, you've been in my car. You know I drive a Hyundai already. So
same. Hyundais are great.
Yeah.
#
warranty for life.
Yeah.
You mentioned relievers. I'm going one also. I'm going with the fight that I had for months that everyone disagreed with me on. And I have a feeling at this point, with where he is in his career, it's probably not going to be super expensive to have him as a setup guy for Alexis Diaz. And give me the return of the missile. I want to roll this Chapman back in our bullpen. I will do $7 million for Chapman.
Yeah, the Reds absolutely need power arms in the bullpen. Literally the only guy they have in the roster that can throw it. And not that like you have to throw 100 to get guys out, but you need someone who can throw the ball by you. And Ian Jabot, he's not thrown by anybody unless they're looking something else.
Right.
I would also love the thought of Chapman in a firm setup role. Like he's been a little volatile lately.
Yeah.
And we have some good memories there. I would say that his interests when he first got to Cincinnati were some of the most exciting electric atmospheres we've experienced as Reds fans.
1,000%.
Interesting pick, but I'm not going to argue with it too much. Joe, you have 2 in a row, and you have $65 million remaining. For reference, I have 17.
That is a lot of money to play with. I'm going to have money left over, so I'm going to have a hell of a vacation when we're done.
Sure, they better be good.
Just wait till 2025 when he can throw. Sticking with the reliever thing, I'm going for a closer. I think Alexis Diaz, I honestly think he's a better setup guy than a closer. I'm going with Josh Hader.
Ooh.
Imagine Alexis Diaz setting up Josh Hader. He made 14 last year. I got him penciled at 16. That's probably reasonable.
16? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like it.
I mean, he's still been good, so you figure at the very least he's getting a nice cost of living.
I love
cost
it, man.
of living adjustment.
I love it. Did you say you want him as the closer and Diaz as the setup man, or vice versa?
I want Hader closing.
Yeah. Think about that. Think about that for a second. Chapman's setup and Diaz as a closer is one thing, but Diaz as a setup man, Hader as the closer, you have one of the probably the most terrifying 8th to 9th innings in all of Major League Baseball. So, well done.
It doesn't suck. It does not suck.
So you have $49 million left.
I'm gonna have to overpay for somebody just to make
Johnny
some noise.
Cueto, $40 million.
Let's go.
Lifetime services contract. I am going Mitch Garver. I think the guy crushes.
I thought you might do this.
I know I brought it up before in the Slack channel. Also, another reason you guys want to join Patreon, you guys get access to the Slack channel, which is just literally any topic under the sun. Obviously, a lot of Reds, Bengals, basketball. There's a ton of basketball conversation going on right now. I'm still lost with the NBA, but I'm trying to catch up. But
You're doing great.
I try. Mitch Garver, the guy crushes. He just got a ring, so he doesn't need to go chasing a ring. He made 3.9 last year. I think I would even spend $8 million for him. With the Reds bringing back Melee, that means Tyler Stevenson and Jonathan India get packaged and swapped out for somebody. But yeah, I mean, I don't know what his metrics are for catching, for framing, and all that fun crap, but the dude can rake.
I like it a lot.
Yeah.
What are you giving it?
It said I would give him 8. That's double what he made, and he's 30, almost 33. So that's a nice chunk.
You can give him 40 if you want to. You've got the budget. All right, Tim. You have this is your next to last pick, and you have $61 million to spend.
I'm gonna have to overpay for this one. I don't love the value, but I do like the idea of the player. I'm gonna go another right-handed corner outfielder, and I'm gonna go with Randall Grichuk. So Grichuk made about $6 million last year.
This guy.
Yeah.
I think just as far as like I know a lot of his numbers are the Coors effect from his year and a half he played with the Rockies, and I know he didn't necessarily have the best numbers in Anaheim when he was traded there at the end of the year, in the Moustakas deal. That's such a weird thing to say, but he's a guy you can kind of count on for about 15, 16 homers a year. I think at GBP as a right-handed hitter with the porch there in the terrace outfield left field area, I think he's a guy who can hit about 20, 21 homers at the stadium. So, not the greatest defender by any stretch of the matter, but this team needs more guys like more right-handed outfield hitters. No more Stuart Fairchilds, no more guys like that. And I would be happy to have Randall Grichuk come and hit 20 home runs at Great American Ballpark. So I will take Randall Grichuk at his AAV right now is at 6. Oh, it's at 8.8 mil. I'll do 10.
Okay. Man, I really painted myself in a corner with the Shohei move. I went top heavy.
Yeah, but you have to get Shohei. I mean, that's
Right,
that's your only choice. Yeah.
But all the marketing, you're gonna have money left over that you can get guys at the trade deadline because all the jerseys you're gonna sell.
Yeah. New Balance is gonna set up a shop in Cincinnati.
There you go. I love New Balances. I got a couple pair.
You would.
I got a ton of shoes in general, so I've got I've got all the brands to to make sure that I'm fit for everybody. So
that's a dad
Now
statement.
we know. riveting content.
My wife makes fun of me because I make sure my shoes match my outfit. It's bad.
Same way.
Yeah.
Same way.
All right. So I am going to go with, I've got two more picks. I'm going to go with somebody that's going to help us in the rotation, but isn't going to carry that top end load. If anybody's paying attention or taking notes, you can tell that I'm terrified of our rotation. As much as I love the high end upside that our guys have, they need some stability. I'm going to go with Alex Wood.
You got Wood.
Listen, you're hilarious. Alex Wood has had a heck of a career, 33 years old. Made 12.5 mil, but he's only getting projected at about 6 mil for next year for whatever reason. And I think the Reds, as much as they need somebody with ace upside, they even more so need some of that mid to late rotation filler. And if Alex Wood is your 4th or 5th guy, you're doing a pretty good job. So I'm going to overpay Alex Wood a little bit, and I'm going to go 10 mil on Alex Wood. Any thoughts?
So do you get Kyle Farmer back then because he was his personal catcher during his time with the Reds?
Listen, if you think I'm not spending my last $7 million on Kyle Farmer, you're crazy.
You free agent?
I don't think so.
I don't know. But if you gave him $7 million, I'm sure the Twins would send him back.
True.
All right, so I got one last pick. I have the $7 million to spend, and where do I spend it? I am going to try something that I'm not sure is going to work. Holding out and hoping that he wants to take a 1-year deal for a little GABP bump. It's going to play a little first base, a little DH. I'm going to spend my remaining $7 million on CJ Crone.
Ooh, that's a nice risk to take. I like that.
No,
He can hit.
I think that's slightly undervalued for CJ. I think Spot Track says something more than the 8 mil range is going to get him there. But I think as I believe, unrestricted free agent, taking a 1-year deal to just mash dingers and GABP could help him secure that bag next offseason. So we'll get into that later. I am done, and I have spent every single dollar I have. For you all to do that, Tim, you will need to spend $51 million on your fifth.
I can tell you I won't be doing that.
41. So round out your rosters, gentlemen. You have the money to spend on anybody. This doesn't have to be who you want in order of most important. You can go out and get Cody Bellinger. You can go out and get these dudes. You have the money. Do it for the content. Do something.
Well, now I feel like I'm like really letting everybody down. So thanks, buddy.
Just me. But what's new?
Well, I was gonna get another like cheaper relief arm option, but now I feel like I got to spend real money.
No. You can go realistic. It's fine.
All right, I do think that we got to move on from this Buck Farmer Jabot era, like we talked about. And I think Aroldis and like Joe said, Josh Hader were good steps to that. So my last pick, who doesn't have an AAV but made $3 million last year with the A's and the Orioles, I'm going Shintaro Fujinami. I think would just be a freaking incredible guy to have in this bullpen. With the guys that they have already, I suspect that Lucason's probably back next year, though I don't love it. Even though he was really, really good his last month of the season.
He was really good the first half.
Yeah.
But he got pretty darn volatile for about a 2.5 month stretch.
Yeah. But Fujinami was a guy that, Baltimore traded for a reason when they were in pennant chase and did really well for them. I think he carries the momentum to Cincinnati. Put him in the pen.
I love it. Gentlemen,
$4 million.
$4 million. And in pure Castellini fashion, you did not spend your remaining $47 million. And we're going to have some epic bobblehead nights. Way to go.
Yeah. Bro, don't forget, we got to have money for the Green Day concert.
That's true. Hey, will you buy me tickets to this Green Day concert with this $47 million that you saved?
Yeah. I'll take it. We'll make a riverfront outing.
All right. Joe, your last pick. Who you got? You are muted, and I don't know why. Joe, we cannot hear you, sir. I'm going to try to lip read for Joe. He said, I will give $50 million to Joey Votto.
Blake Snell, $75 million.
It's not paying Blake Snell. We have lost Joe momentarily, so I'm going to recap real quick who we all have. I have a top heavy roster. I got the Reds going for Shohei Ohtani, Aaron Nola, Jordan Hicks, Alex Wood, and CJ Crone. And I spent every bit of our budget to do so. Tim, you're looking at Sonny Gray, Lourdes Gurriel Jr., Aroldis Chapman, Randall Grichuk, and who's your last pick?
Shintaro Fujinami. Which would be a great offseason. Let's just be realistic here.
That'd be pretty awesome. Joe, you with us?
I think so. Can you hear me?
He's back. Yep. He's back. The man's back for his last pick. How is that for suspense? Let's go.
It's just trying to build the dramatic tension. Did I miss anything exciting in the 30 seconds that I was out and back?
Just that I think you're about to win this draft. So who you got?
The smart move would be to go to Jordan Montgomery. Again, the Reds need another starter, and that would give them a one. That would make Hunter Green number 3.
Yeah.
I'm not going that way. I'm going with Will Smith. Boom! I just guaranteed the World Series. He is the first player in any of the major 4 sports that has won 3 straight titles with 3 separate teams. It's going to be 4 for 4. His market value is $6.5 million. We're all going to Sizzler. We're done.
I love it. I'm going to put a dollar sign by how much you were supposed to pay him because you can afford it. That's kind of
34
outside the box thinking that I appreciate. Well done.
34.5 million to spare.
All right, so we just said what my roster is, what Tim's is. Joe has. I feel horrible. I closed the window. What is the name of Yamamoto?
Yoshinobu
Yamamoto, who is, gosh, I cannot wait to see that guy pitch.
Yeah.
Teoscar Hernandez, Josh Hader, Mitch Garver, and Will Smith. Guys, y'all
with it.
have pretty good teams, but there's a lot of money left over. You sound like half of Red's Twitter that doesn't want the team to spend money. That's all I'm going to say.
I mean,
We got crawled.
I think if the Reds spent the money that Joe and I suggested, I think they'd be pretty pleased.
They'd be pretty happy.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to make up a graphic and we'll leave it to the interwebs to see who won the draft.
Well,
all right, that was a lot of fun.
Ohtani, so.
Yeah.
Well, there's a certain vintage of Reds fan. They're going to think that's a horrible move and too expensive.
You can't trade for Mike Trout. We need this guy in Daytona who's hitting 210 and getting an OPS of 600.
Amazing.
Don't you talk about Carlos Jorge that way.
All right, fellas, I'm going to get into some viewer mail. Do you want to join me?
Yeah.
Sure.
While I got time.
I love it. I was about to burp. That's why I stuttered through that. So let's power through these real quick. We're running a little bit long, and man, I'm having too much fun. So as always, these questions come from our friends at patreon.com/riverfrontcincy, where you too can join the family. First question. We got some good ones today. Seth Shane says, it's cold and we are officially on Votto watch. Indeed, we are, Seth. You've already talked about it during the show, I'm sure, but please rate your level of sadness if they don't bring him back. There will be a pall over my house for some time if he doesn't retire a Red. So I guess there's multiple ways to interpret that. Will he retire having only played for the Reds, or will he retire, sign the one-day contract? Will he go into the Hall in a Reds cap? I don't know, but for me, it's a 10 out of 10. Yeah. I will never be more sad about a single Reds moment than if I have to see Joey Votto play in another team's uniform. That will be exacerbated if they don't spend much money this offseason and still chose not to give him I'm going to call it a send-off, even though who knows with Joey. He could play one more year and retire. He could play 3 more years and have 40 home runs next year. I'm not going to put money on anything. But yeah, I think I'm more invested in Joey Votto's career as a Red than any player I can remember watching, and I will be the saddest. And we will do an emergency podcast when we find out what happens with Joey Votto if it's not awesome. Tim?
10 out of 10. No doubt about it. I mean, my favorite player in franchise history. And my favorite player of all time played for the Reds, and he's still not my favorite player in franchise history. So,
love it. Good qualifier. Joe?
Your favorite player is Rich Aurelia?
Yeah, how'd you know?
Wow, that's impressive.
Quentin McCracken tonight, man. That's my dude. I got so many baseball cards.
19 out of 10. If he goes, yeah, I mean, it's to bring it back around to the concert. It's going to be Melancholy and the Infinite Sadness. If
nice.
I don't know if Nate, do you get that?
No.
That's a double album, 1995, released by Smashing Pumpkins. Fantastic. My older brother was so cheap that he bought the double album for a Christmas present. One disc went to me, the other disc went to his twin. So for Christmas, we got to split a double CD set. That was really cool.
Riveting content.
It is. I know. I've got to make it personal. Yeah, I mean, it would suck. He's again your favorite Red of my lifetime, but it's coming sooner than later. Whether it's this year, whether it's next year. So you don't want to rip the Band-Aid off, but you sure as hell don't want to see him go to any other team.
Fair enough. I will say one further thing. Pick up the option, you cowards. Next question comes from... Go ahead, Joe. Sorry.
I was going to say, if you're not going to spend the money on like players that are going to help the team, then spend it on someone who's going to help the box office.
Well, we can have an entire podcast about whether or not Joe Votto would help the team next year, but we'll do that later.
Yeah.
Next question comes from Dwight Kelly. Dwight says, random question. I'm sitting here in Camp Washington, Chile, Hearing
Nice.
Huey Lewis
Very well.
and the news. Is it really hip to be square or is it square to be hip? Please clarify. Gentlemen, I'm going to leave this to you because when he said I'm sitting here in Washington chili, I thought he just made up random words and stuck them together like he put them in the random organizer generator. And that's what came out. So I have no context, no clue what he's talking about. How do you feel about Huey Lewis and the news and Dwight's question?
Well, Sports is an amazing album. I think everyone needs to have in their vinyl collection. And Dwight's our producer of our live pod, so he will forever get love.
True.
But it is hip to be square. It is hip to be square.
Yeah, when you're talking
All
about
right.
the guy who's saying the power of love from Back to the Future,
Right.
this is the guy that knows the heart of rock and roll.
Mhm.
He wants a new drug. Yeah, I mean, I can't say I'm the biggest Huey Lewis fan. Back to the Future is my favorite movie trilogy of all time, so I've got a soft spot.
Ooh,
Huey Lewis
That's
is
a fun
definitely square.
podcast conversation for later. Favorite movie trilogies of all time. I love it.
If only we knew someone who, we tried to get to do a movie podcast and wouldn't do it. Damn.
Gosh.
Be a brilliant
Give
idea.
us some time. Give us some time.
So yeah, it's hip to be square.
It's hip to be square. Love it. All right. Next question comes from Kyle Kapler, who is quickly become one of my favorite Twitter follows because he typically I do not engage with anyone on Twitter because I just don't care. But Kyle does, and I agree with almost everything he says, and it entertains me to no end. So Kyle, sorry, my cat's going to make an appearance also. What's up, Shrimp?
Cool.
Kyle says, will the Rangers miss any of the prospects they traded away to win a World Series? I'm just going to leave that right there. I don't think so, Kyle. Amazing question.
Yeah, I mean, the baby Acuna is probably the one that's probably like, oh, that one hurts to give up, but also
doesn't anymore.
They were spraying champagne all over each other in a covered locker room last night. So
sure doesn't hurt. No thing hurts now is any open wounds when that champagne got inside of it.
Yeah.
Amazing.
What's hilarious is Scherzer really didn't even make much of an impact at all.
I know.
So the one prospect that they would have hugged and actually stung actually was, is one that they didn't really get any much return on the investment. But yeah, they
won
banners
the
fly
World
forever.
Series.
Yeah, banners fly forever.
That's the goal. You're not allowed to complain about anything for 5 years after you win the World Series. So
exactly,
they'll be fine. Joey Gaditza says, "Sell the team, Bob." Haven't said that in a while. Well done, Joey. Bringing it back. He also says, "And Phil, like, what is the point of a Phil Castellini?" That made me laugh out loud. What is the point of a Phil Castellini other than to give us endless content fodder?
Well,
content.
Someone's got to put out some fresh produce.
Yeah. Do you think he comes out with another PowerPoint next year saying, yes, if you the Reds are barely above 500 before the season even starts?
I hope so, because I mean, I get tired of photoshopping the same picture of him with a mountain of blow in front of him. So the more content I have to make fun of the guy, the better I am.
Absolutely. All right. Next question comes from Rich Thompson. Succinct as always, Rich. There's a lot of buzz surrounding Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift dating due to her fans / Swifties coming out in droves to see Chiefs games to hopefully catch a glimpse of Taylor supporting her new boo. Or beau, boo.
Oh.
No. It's my understanding that Taylor Swift has a history of frequently breaking up with guys and moving on to someone new. If this is true, and if she eventually breaks up with Travis Kelce, I say we encourage her to consider dating one of our eligible Cincinnati Reds. I love this, Rich. Well done. Just imagine the media exposure, a new generation of fans taking interest in the Reds, and the additional revenue that such a pairing would bring. Good point. Appealing to the Castellinis. With all this said, which Red do you propose to be Taylor Swift's new guy if and when she dumps Travis Kelce?
If she wants the Cougar, it's Matt McClain. Because he's the guy.
I like that. He's got that pretty boy demeanor. Rich seems to think Joey Votto could be that guy. He did put his name out there. He threw his hat in the ring for such a thing within the Dan Patrick Show, I believe. I want to go full entertainment value, and I want to see how the internet would blow up with Taylor and Ellie.
That's also Cougaring, but
I think that the electricidad would it would inject the Swifties with a certain amount of life that they are not prepared for.
Yeah.
Injecting electricity. God, they're getting kinky. I really wouldn't do that to anybody on the Reds because they're going to end up with some song written about them after the breakup.
That's still better than a Kardashian.
So it's Bronson. We want to go X-Red. She goes to Bronson, and then they just have song battles back and forth.
I would say Phil Castellini because I mean, if anybody deserves to get dragged, it's Phil Castellini. And she wouldn't have to be like. No, granted, never mind. She still has more money than the Castellinis. Maybe we can get her to buy the team. Never mind dating somebody. Buy the team.
Now we're
the
talking.
Cincinnati Swifties.
It can't be Jonathan India because he is an expecting father.
Congrats.
Congratulations to Jonathan, and your partner, whose name I cannot recall off the top of my head, but she's a lovely lady. I don't know. Spencer Steer would be. I mean, I feel like that would just work. I feel like they would not break up. They would just be together forever.
Yeah, maybe, so, but he's got an old man hairline. Is she gonna like a 24-year-old with a receding hairline?
She might. Let's not pretend that Taylor Swift is this. She's not Janelle Bunch or whatever. Giselle Bunch or whatever her name is. Like,
no, not at all.
She's a pretty gal. Spencer Steer's a handsome man. All right.
I'm gonna say Kurt Caselli. They're the same age. They were both born in '89.
Okay.
I was also born in '89.
Actually, he was born in '88. I lied. He'll turn 39 here, or 35 here in a couple days.
I was gonna say, Joe.
It's 35. I'm the old one here. Shut up. I don't.
But you know what? She's gonna go for a high-profile guy. It's either gotta be Ellie or it's gotta be Hunter Green.
The right answer is Luke Weaver.
Luke Weaver. There we go. All right, our oldest patron, James Urban, says, "Are you all pro Christmas decorations before Thanksgiving or wait until after?" These are the kind of questions I love from our family.
We just had this conversation
online, and I have come to the opinion that this is the only way. Christmas decorations immediately after Halloween, but no Christmas music until December 1st. I will die on that hill. Tim?
So I'm with you, but my wife was playing Christmas music already for my daughter today while I was working. And I was like, what are we doing? But then I started humming along. So
nobody's perfect.
Was it Mariah Carey? All I Want for Christmas Is You?
No. I love that song. I don't care what anyone has to say.
I'm going to record myself singing that song to Joey Votto on repeat for hours. That's all I want for Christmas. Joe, any thoughts on
I want to see Joey Votto sing Last Christmas. That would be fantastic. No, you guys are completely wrong. You cannot put up Christmas decorations when there are so many leaves on the trees. You still have Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving's its own thing. People don't decorate, but I'm cool with that. Got to wait until the day after Thanksgiving. My wife is like, she's chomping at the bit to put up decorations now, but it's wait until the day after Thanksgiving. Christmas music, December 1st, and Die Hard is not a Christmas movie.
Yes, it is.
It happens on Christmas, but none of it has anything to do with Christmas. What's the spirit of Christmas? Where is Santa Claus? Where's little sweet baby Jesus? Where's any of that?
I'll tell you, Alan fucking Rickman. That's the spirit of Christmas. All right.
Tim with the first F-bomb ever on the Riverfront's Red Show. I love it.
Everyone would have laid money that it was me. Hans Gruber himself.
Chad and I have a brother who had a hilarious interaction with Alan Rickman at the London theater of whatever the most dope theater in London is. And I'll tell you guys about it when we're off air because this is the funniest thing in the world. It involved him being accosted and references to the Sheriff of Nottingham. I'll just leave it at that. All right. Last question from Brandon Kamek. Nick Kroll loses his phone and you stumble across it with time to make one phone call. Assuming your Nick Kroll impression is immaculate, just put a shoe in your mouth for effect. Who are you calling to send the Redlegs to the World Series? Since you're the GM for one call, no limits on spending or prospect capital. Nick Kroll gets to make one decision. The qualifier, which made my answer different, was the move since the Reds to the World Series. We'll start with you, Joe. What you got?
Who's the best pitcher right now? The Reds have decent enough hitting, to win with. DeGrom if he's healthy, but he's never healthy. Max Scherzer and Justin Verlander are about 185 years old. Who's the best pitcher right now?
Do you go with somebody young like a Spencer Strider?
I want someone that I'm going to count on every fifth day. That's done it for done it
Zach
for at
Gallen.
least 5 years. Zach Gallen's
Gallen.
not a bad call at all. I mean, that guy was fantastic yesterday.
Yeah, Zach Gallen.
Yeah.
Julio Rodriguez.
But he doesn't pitch.
Julio is
I
a
don't give a
good
shit.
call. He might be able to. Who knows? I love it. All good choices. Spencer Strider or Ronald Acuna Jr. would be a good answer. I don't know how realistic we need to be, so I'm just going to stick with my $50 million man. It's Shohei. He pulls an Aaron Rodgers and he comes back in late August, ready to pitch in the playoffs and dominate. I love it. Great questions, guys. That's going to do it. That's it for the Riverfront today. I really appreciate y'all coming on. Thanks to everyone for listening and supporting the Riverfront. Please tell your friends. Remember to subscribe to the show on YouTube, your favorite podcast app. Any parting words of wisdom? Joe, start with you.
Who Dey beat the crap out of the Buffalo Bills on Sunday Night Football.
Absolutely. Sunday Night Football's coming up. Go check out the Riverfront Bengal Show. The Bengal Show, as we're calling it. They have fantastic week-to-week coverage and live reactions post the game and incredible pregame predictions, often from Tim and I, because we're awesome.
The best.
Tim, any parting words?
Subscribe to Riverfront U. We're killing it right now. We're getting ready for the season.
Love it. We've got amazing things going on covering all of the area sports teams. We're starting to branch out a little bit. It is pretty cool what we've got going on. I literally can't believe it some of the times. So please subscribe everywhere. And once again, huge thanks to all of our supporters and especially the ones at patreon.com/RiverfrontCincy. Seriously, we couldn't do it without y'all. So shouts to Adam Dunn. Shouts to Lisa Alberto, to Wayne Krenchicki and Eli Cash. For Joe Farfsing and Tim Daniel and Jeff Shaw, this is Nate Dawson saying take it easy, Cincinnati.